Hi,
Hi, what's up? What's going on? What's going on?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm doing well. How's your day going?
Honestly, I've done. Wait, can I swear on this?
Oh yeah, no. Everyone always says that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I've done fuck all today, and it's actually been blessed.
fair enough. What has it been? Has it been quite busy recently?
Yeah, because fucking college just started again.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
don't.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
How about you, though? What have you been up to?
just literally been doing coursework, same as you. Coursework. I college is hard because you probably are the same as me, right? You've obviously got your photography going, which we'll talk about today, but it's hard when you're doing two things. It's hard when you've got like a hobby slash freelance slash business you're trying to start, and then college, and it's always difficult balancing it. Do you struggle with that as well?
100%. Because while I'm based in London, I don't live there. So the traveling is quite long and it just builds up. And then you've got fucking work for school and it's a nightmare.
Yeah. Do
I
you
feel
work
you.
as well? Do you have like a part-time job, or because that would be
No, but
yeah,
I'm trying.
yeah.
Hopefully one day.
Yeah. See, it's a lot of stress. Like thinking about it now, right? Um, it's actually hard being young. Like if you really think about it, like everyone always says, "Oh, it's so easy, blah blah blah." You don't pay any bills. You still live with your parents. You've got energy and shit. But it's actually hard. Like if you really think about
Yeah.
it, like, with what you're doing, like with college, with your photography, looking for a job, whatever you're doing, right, and just life in general. You have ups and downs. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, just it's fucking mad
Yeah,
because the amount of pressure we get and no one talks about it.
yeah, exactly. And people don't realize as well. That's the thing that people don't realize. We just get pressure from a lot of places. College, parents, yourself. Put pressure on yourself a lot. It's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's definitely not easy. But on a lighter note, how do you feel about lockdown ending? Or
Um,
ending soon-ish. I know it's not actually ended, but you know what I mean.
in terms of obviously my career and just social life, I'm so excited because this is probably the first time I've ever been excited for summer. Because I like winter.
Yeah,
I like the cold.
same.
So summer is that especially in this country is always horrible, but first time I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
But I guess returning to normal means that college is going to go back to normal and having to actually do exams like properly. No, not at all. I'm not up for that.
yeah. It's hard. It is actually hard. I'm the same as you. To be honest with you, I'm the same. I am looking forward to this year just because there's a lot of stuff going on. But it's sort of going to be a shock because we've all sort of been indoors for so long. Now going back to normal, I feel like people are going to get like a bit like overwhelmed a bit because we haven't really been
Oh
doing
yeah.
too much. You get what I'm saying? Are you doing like online lessons or are you going back to college now?
Oh, I'm back in the classroom.
Nice. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do
Uh,
you find that?
Me, how do I find it? I like it. I do prefer it more than online lessons, but the thing is, I do online lessons and normal lessons as well. I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather just do one. I'd rather do staying at home. In fact, no, I don't like online lessons. I just rather go back to normal, like fully class lessons. Um, yeah, just normal. I don't know about you, but the only really now because I'm gonna be finishing in like July, right? I'm just waiting. I'm just literally waiting. I'm waiting until we're done because education is long. It's really long. I,
Yeah, it is drags.
yeah, it it does drugs. But anyway, I want to talk to you about your photography. So, guys,
Yeah.
damn, let's actually introduce podcast. I always like doing that just to see how people's days are going. But today we have Whoslozza, and guys, this is
Hi.
the thing, right? This is the thing, right? I always do this, right? I always do this. These are creators that are going to be upcoming, but this lady here has worked with a lot of artists who are in the game and are upcoming to be, I think personally, a lot. just be big. You've got like Henshaw. I know you've worked with him, Sebastian, Just Nick. You basically are behind the scenes getting all the pictures, and I don't think people realize, right? Like with the age of social medias, pictures need to be taken. Pictures need to be taken,
Yeah,
and photographers like
100.
yourself are basically running the game in that field. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about, right, is I looked in your social media the other day just to do some research on you, and your first shoot was with Sebastian, if I'm correct.
Yes, as Whoslozza, that it wasn't a solo shoot with him. It was actually, I guess, behind the scenes at a studio session, like recording music studio session.
Nice.
And because the outside just looked dope, one at a time, me and the group I was with went outside and took pictures. And yeah, that was just Seb's. It doesn't sound that interesting, but
Yeah, no, but that's the thing, right? That's the thing. Like, how was that? I wanted to ask you then, that picture, was that when you got into photography or were you doing stuff beforehand?
no, I've rebranded a lot. Um, we'll come to that in like the future.
Okay.
But as Whoslozza, that was my first shoot.
Hmm.
So to answer your question, yes, but also no. Generally no, but specifically yes.
Nice, nice. And what got you into photography then? Because I know it must be hard being a photographer because it literally anyone can, not anyone can do it, but anyone can do it if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of photographers. I know around just myself, like 5 photographers. How did you get into photography and how did you feel knowing that you're in a field which everyone's basically doing it nowadays?
Um, some of my like fondest childhood memories is just walking around, like family friends' back gardens with a really shitty little camera and just taking pictures of plants. So the love for it has always been there. It hasn't always been what I wanted to do, but I went through a phase of wanting to become a music journalist. So I would collect magazines, like music, alternative rock magazines. And then I had this realization one day that the reason I bought them wasn't to read the articles, it was to look at the pictures and collect the posters. And that's what I wanted to do. But ending up in the scene, I guess, complete accident. It wasn't calculated. I wasn't
Really?
networking.
Wow. Damn.
Everyone that I work with consistently, so like Seb, Nick, I met them before my photography actually became a career. We were all friends first. So it just happened by chance, honestly.
Wow. That's amazing. And working with all of these artists, was that something where you, because obviously with that magazine, right, did that sort of get you involved in taking for pictures for artists, or was that a thing where, okay, cool, you like the pictures, I just happen to know artists, let me just take pictures of them, or was it actually more all planned out?
It actually started with my GCSE media coursework.
Okay.
We were making our own magazines, and because I have very photogenic, beautiful friends, they were automatically going to be the models for it. So I would like meet up with them. We did a little shoot, and then it just built from there. And we just kept on working, and it went from just coursework and school shit to our careers.
Amazing. That's awesome. And how did how was it? How was it telling them that, okay, this is something I I want to do then. I want to take pictures. Actually, no, I want to ask you, right? Because obviously you said you wanted to do media. How did you get into that then? Because obviously it seems like you've gone from media to photography. What got you into actually media in the first place?
When I was younger, I was a massive book nerd, and it was just a natural like progression from like reading to more like online journalism type shit.
Okay.
And because music has always been a huge part of my life, it was a no-brainer combining of the two. So you've got like music and then the writing. So it was just that which then evolved into photography.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then going back to working with these artists, right? Like you, because when I think of Whoslozza, I think that's your style. Like your style is working with
That
artists.
means a lot, man.
No, seriously, like working with artists, having a sort of grungy, alternative, sort of uh, dark academic sort of vibe. That's what I think about your pictures, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about, right? Because I know with working in a field in an industry where literally anyone can sort of be a photographer now. You've got a phone in your pocket, you could take pictures and you could do effects, and obviously there's a lot more work than that. I'm not a photographer, so I don't know, and you probably know a lot more than me, right? How how did you manage to find your own style? Was it a thing where it was an accident, you just thought, okay, these effects looks cool, or was it a thing where you're like, okay, I need to sort of make my own niche, I need to sort of make my own style so I can be recognized? How did you come about um having your own sort of style? Because I personally think you've now got like a style, a unique style, and I would be able to recognize your pictures in a group of other images. So was that an accident or was that planned out?
Well, okay, first of all, thank you.
Yes.
That's a massive fucking compliment to me. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
But I don't really know. Like, that's the specific style I have, I guess, was just a result of like experimentation. But as I said, I've rebranded a lot. So the style I have now was never like intended right from the beginning. I've tried so many different things and a lot of them failed. We don't talk about that. But it was mainly just combining my own personal like style and I guess aesthetic in a way with what was around me, like my peers' like styles, and combining them with the inspiration of many other photographers, because I am in no way the first one that has like my style. Like there have been others before me. It's about putting your own twist on it. So I guess, yeah, it was just that. My biggest inspiration though is a guy called Dylan Scott, and his Instagram is at Dylan Gigs. If you're listening to this, hi. I've never met the guy, but his style, his shots, fucking amazing, and I look up to him a lot. And we actually are kind of like mutuals, and that's really cool. Probably one of my biggest achievements, but yeah. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow, that's cool. So it was a thing where it was a trial and error, and that's one thing, right? Because this podcast is aimed towards creatives. Because I think I literally know so many photographers and also just people who want to work for themselves, right? And that's one thing I think you said, which is so important, which is shit fails. Like things fail all the time. Things fail. You think they're gonna go right and they don't. And that's one question I want to ask you. When you're trying out these styles and they're flopping and they weren't looking too great, or they were looking great but you just weren't happy with them, what kept you going? What kept you from giving up and be like, nah, this photography thing is dead? Why did you keep on going?
because I personally don't believe that everyone can be a photographer, because anyone can take a picture,
Yeah,
but that's not what photography is. There's the developing your style, there's learning, there's a lot of theory that goes behind it, and just actually embodying photography, because you have to throw yourself in it and actually do it in order to learn and grow from it. So anyone can take a picture, but you have to be fully committed. And it was just realizing that I was willing to be committed. So no matter how unmotivated and disappointed I got there are people at the top of their game out there, and looking at them and seeing it was so inspiring at the same time. Because if they can do it, why can't I? I'm on my own path, they're on their path. My timing is going to be different. If they're succeeding and I'm failing, that's how it's meant to be. But I can still get there. So it was just using inspiration to like fuel me.
Amazing, amazing. So it was a case of just sort of, you know, being inspired by other people. That's interesting. That's a really interesting answer to that question, because a lot of people say the cliche, "Oh, this is what I want to do. I didn't give up." But the fact that you found it from literally looking at other people's work, and you're like, "Okay, let me try this. Let me try that. Let me try this. Let me try that." Yeah, that was great. And how did you actually realize then? Okay, this style is not working out for me, because I think there's a difference, right, from being delusional and giving up. When did you realize that, okay, this style's not really working out for me? Because obviously you said that you've rebranded and you've tried different styles. When did you sort of come to the conclusion that, okay, I need to sort of switch things up here?
I was never satisfied, like completely. Like, you are a creative yourself. When you create something, you do feel like fulfillment from it.
Yeah,
And you
100%.
can tell the difference between being completely happy with it and being satisfied.
Definitely.
You understand? Yeah. So I was never fully happy. And then I had just come back from a shoot and I was editing and I was just playing around. And I blew my own mind. And that sounds quite big headed, but it was the first time I had actually done what I did that day. And as soon as I sent it to, I think it was Nashi, he was the first one to get pictures back from that shoot. And he was like, yeah, this is your style. This is you. And I had to agree. And it was just amazing.
Amazing. So that's great. That's actually sick, because I think people don't realize how this shit takes time. Like, it takes time to fail. It takes time to sort of find your new style. So with that being said, what I wanted to move on to, right, is, okay, cool. You've now got, Nashi saying, yo, Lauren, this is sick. This is your style. When are you now thinking, okay, I could potentially do this for income? Because I know obviously people can book shoots of you on your Instagram. Obviously,
Yeah.
you charge money for it, which is rightly so. You do great work. You shouldn't really be doing it, for free. You're creative, and at the end of the day, people need to see what value you bring out there. So when we like, okay, cool, I could do this for freelance or potentially as a business, when did you come up with that idea?
It was actually the people around me and my friends who pushed me to start charging, because it was always something I was scared to do, because I hate asking like people for money.
Mm,
It doesn't feel right.
mm.
Like, I much prefer like lending it to people than taking it myself. So, but just more and more of my friends kept saying, you need to start charging for this. Like, you're too good. And I never quite believed it, but I just thought I might as well, because who doesn't need money? We're all broke.
Mm.
So
That's
yeah, it wasn't actually my idea.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think one thing you said is important, right? I think people, a lot of us creatives, when we have a skill set and we like to do it for fun, um, it's great. We like to do it for fun, and I think a lot of the time, people who want to work with us, they can sort of take advantage. But when you sort of realize, that no, I'm actually valuable. They wouldn't come to me if I weren't good. I could charge for this, right? And in that case, that was your friends telling you, yo, Lauren, you need to start, getting people to pay you, right? It can always be scary. It can always be scary to say, okay, this is how much this is, blah blah blah. So how did that go then? How did that go from, okay, cool, your friends telling you need to charge them? What was the next step? Was it a case where you're like, okay, I need to sit down, come up with my prices, and then were you sort of promoting yourself? Because I know you're quite consistent on social media. You put your booking prices up. You also put a lot of knowledge on how people can improve their work, which I'm going to go into. So your IGT series, but how was it then? What was the next step from figuring out, okay, I can make money from this? What did you do after that?
It was a lot of research into like the standard pricing of photographers and incorporating not only the realistic budgets people would have, because we're not all like big grown adults with jobs, okay? A lot of the people around me and in the scene, we're young, we're kids, we're broke. You know, they're not gonna be able to afford like 200 quid a shoot. That's unrealistic. And because back then I was even smaller than I am now, I also incorporated how big I actually was as a artist and creative. So yeah, it was just bare calculations and just being realistic with it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's something I think is important, and I think I'm happy you said that because I think people don't realize, right, how much work it got and research it goes into finding what you want to do and making money for it. People think, and most of the time, I don't know if you get this, but it's always the people who are maybe not creative. They want to do the standard job, or they're just not in the same industry as you. They always they downplay it. They're like, it can't be that hard. Just come up with a number and charge that. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if you get that, but it's a lot harder to think about, okay, cool, what's their budget, how big am I, if I charge this, are they going to come back to me? And I think people that aren't creatives don't sort of realize that. Did you ever sort of get that, not negative feedback, but did you ever sort of get people downplaying the research you did?
Oh, 100%, definitely.
Really?
Mainly from my parent actually. So that wasn't actually surprising, but I guess older generations can't really wrap their head around a non 9 to 5 type of job because most of them never even tried it.
Mm, mm,
So yeah, but a good point that I do actually want to make to anyone who is a photographer and is listening is that if you do charge, you don't always have to charge. It is okay to work for free. In the case of it being like a collaboration, I've got mates who are rappers. They don't charge their friends for features. It's a collaboration. Do not feel bad. Do not feel like you're failing or like you're not good enough to be paid at all. It is okay. Breathe. You got this.
that's amazing. I think people need to, yeah, that's really important. That's really important because I think you see it as well. You know, you seem like you're a pretty motivated person. We're in this sort of age now, and I said it on the last podcast I recorded. We're in this hustle culture where like you've got to be 19, 20, earning tens of thousands per month. You need to be the best at what you're doing, and it will only take you like a year. And that's really unrealistic. And I think it's dangerous. I don't know about you, but I think it's really dangerous because young people like us now, we're on social media, we're seeing people that are quite big. I don't know, YouTubers like KSI, I don't know, anyone you're watching, right? And they're still young. And we think, oh damn, I'm really behind. But we don't realize that we're still young. Do you get what I'm saying? We don't realize that we're still in college. We've got other priorities because it's not only this, right? We need to actually think about our education, and you know, we have other things going on. And I wanted to ask you, right, how do you sort of stay balanced in that, and not to and not and don't and basically don't not put in too much pressure on yourself, because the photography world is again full up with a load of people who are doing really well and maybe young as well. Um how do you cope with that, and how do you make sure you aren't comparing yourself to them sort of people, to those sort of people?
In all honesty, I don't really cope. I haven't really figured that one out yet. I think we all compare ourselves to other people, even if we don't realize it.
Yeah.
It's just how things are now, and that sucks. But I guess my best advice would be to just not fight it. Just let it happen. Like if you're hit with creative's block, if you try and force it, you're gonna make it worse. So if you're unmotivated, just chill out. Just be unmotivated. It will come to you. And when it does, you're gonna be so on it. You won't even be able to think about what it would be like to be unmotivated, if you get me.
Mm. Mm.
So you don't have to know. You don't have to know how to cope. Just be there. Be present in the moment. Don't worry about anyone else or the future. Just live.
That's I think that's so true. And how do you still go through those phases of creative block where nothing comes to mind?
100%. I had one a couple months ago. I probably had one last month. You know, it happens so much, even with people you wouldn't even expect. Like, I can guarantee you, your favorite rapper, your favorite YouTuber, your favorite, I don't know, author has gone through so many blocks and could even be in one right now.
Mm,
It happens. It doesn't mean you're bad. It's natural.
definitely, definitely. I think yeah, you're right, and I think that's good for people to hear, right? Because um, I was talking to this about to someone the other day. Like, we're not robots. Like, we do have ups and downs. We do have days where we're not feeling it. We have days where we're on on cloud nine. And I feel like in this day and age, right, on social media, it's always the highs. It's always we're always seeing people's best moments, but we never see their down moments. No one's ever going to post, a picture of them crying because someone's passed away, or a picture of them just, sitting down doing nothing, watching Netflix. They always want to post the highlights of their life, and I feel like it's important to realize that um, everyone that we see, your favorite actor, your favorite anyone, they do have down moments, and I feel like what you said is important. Just going with emotions and just basically realizing that it won't be forever, and that's one thing actually wanted to talk to you about, right? I know obviously you said you have creative blocks, but you've done a lot of cool work. You've done a lot of cool work, and we mentioned it at the beginning. So, what is a piece that you're most proud of? Because I saw a post that you put up. It wasn't recent. I think it was for the Black Lives Matter movement. It was called "Silence is Violence," I believe, and I thought that was amazing. I thought it was great. Like that picture, you could see the energy, you could see the crowd not being happy, and I thought that was a great piece of photography you took there. But what is your most proud piece of work you've done to date?
It was probably that one
Wow.
because that just the energy of being there, life changing, and like I could feel myself learning new things because obviously as a white woman I'm very very privileged, and so like my best friends are going to live completely different experiences to me,
Mm,
and just being in a place that's so charged of making difference and knowing that if this change doesn't happen, some of the people closest to me, even strangers, because it doesn't matter if I know them or not,
mm,
people are affected, and it was just incredible. I don't know how to put it into words, which is why I'm waffling right now.
mm.
You really have to be there,
I know what
but
you mean. I know what you mean because I went to one of the protests, and it was crazy. Like the fact that so many people came out, the fact that so many people were charged, and obviously it's different for me because obviously I'm black, and it does affect me. But um,
yeah.
how how was it then? Was it a case where you did you feel any type of awkwardness there? Because I know I had friends who are white, and they did go, and they felt like it's a bit awkward because obviously I'm not black. Did you ever feel that, or were you quite comfortable?
No, I felt comfortable. Well, okay, I mean the context of the situation was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
The fact that in this day and age we have to protest basic human rights is horrible. But being in that environment, I did feel comfortable because it is my job to use the privilege that I have to raise up other voices. And I won't be able to do that unless I turn up to these things, I do these things, I help and not take over and not stay silent, find the balance between those two things. And in that case, it was keeping my black friends safe because I saw videos of that day. There were police officers beating people up in some cases. Luckily, we weren't anywhere near there, and I don't think we were there at that time. But that could have happened to us so easily. And the only way I could have helped was to use my race. So it was just about protecting the people I can.
Mm. It seems like you're really interested in like the humanity and becoming better as a human race. a lot of young people don't really care too much, to be honest with you. You do get, the odd people who would post the black, you probably realize, the Blackout Tuesday square. Loads of people posted that, but I personally think a lot of them didn't really care. They just did it because it was sort of a trend at the time. What got you involved in just caring about the human race? Because it seems like, from looking on your Instagram as well, you don't only post a lot about photography, you post a lot about just humans being nice to other humans, and things that are unjust. What made you so interested in those sort of things?
I mean, I study politics at college. It's one of my subjects. And the subcultures that I'm a part of, like goth, punk and shit, they're very politically charged and motivated. So it was just being in my own community, as well as keeping aware of everything that was happening around me, and listening to my friends when they tell me about their experiences, and listening to people on the internet who voice their experiences, and realizing what I could do, even if it was just educating someone or reposting something, because you don't know who's seen that and thought, I don't know about that, let me read that. Even if one person is like that and everyone else just skips it, that is one person you've just helped.
Mm. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, because although obviously the BLM protests for George Floyd and for the many other people who passed away from the brutality in the UK, because it does happen in the UK, I think that we forget, and in America, just because of obviously everyone's posting about it doesn't mean everyone knows. And I think that's really important what he said, right? Just the one person who's going to see a post that could enlighten them to what's going on. And that's important. That's really really important. I wanted to ask you. I had some friends, right, who did have to cut people off. Like I was doing another podcast with an actual photographer, um, and she was like, I had to cut some people off because some of my family and friends, they didn't support the movement. All they were saying pretty nasty things, pretty uneducated and ignorant things. Not nasty. They probably meant it in a. Oh, it's nasty, to be fair. Well, did you ever find that with people who you thought you wouldn't get that from?
Luckily, no one that I know as in like friends. I'm very blessed to be part of a quite aware group of people that we can have these conversations about, and there's no hatred or bigotry. But I'd say my family have been far more shut off, because I don't know really. I struggle to understand how even older generations are still like that, because they have phones, they have, Facebook, the internet, they have the news. Like, there's no excuse for it. You have so much information and ways around you to educate yourself, and you don't. And even when people try and talk to you, you still shut it down. Like, you can't excuse that, especially if you're grown. You should know better.
Yeah, I think what you said is really powerful because I think, yeah, it must be hard. It must be hard. Damn, I didn't think about it. I didn't think, parents would be things. Obviously, my parents, obviously my parents are black. That's a dumb thing to say, but I didn't. That's crazy. That's crazy. How did that make you feel then? How did that make you feel? How was that a thing where you yeah, how did that make you feel? Because I'm trying to think if that happened to me, right? That would really confuse me. Because obviously your parents, and obviously they don't mean ill intent, right? They're just they may not know what's going on. And I think again, it's not only parents, it's the older generations. It's people who are before us that are used to not seeing many black or Asian, because it's not only black people, Asian, any other cultures in the UK, because obviously we live in the UK and it's predominantly white, right? How did it feel, it being so close to home, even if it wasn't that bad, if it was just sort of little remarks of ignorance? Did that sort of make you feel a kind of way?
It was scary,
Really?
honestly,
Wow.
because my mother, uh, I call it subtle bigotry, subtle racism. Like, she'll be nice to your face, but her head is so full of like stereotypes and bigotry that she'll keep it quiet.
Mm.
And she's worked in healthcare since she was 19 years old. So to think of what she could have done, you know, like the power she had as that kind of authority while also having that kind of ignorance, that scares me.
Mm.
It really scares me because I don't know what she might have done and not even realized the true impact.
Wow.
And it's very real.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. And that's crazy. That's crazy. Wow, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it in that sort of sense. But obviously, with that sort of with that picture you posted, the Silence is Violence post, you said you obviously learned a lot, and you realize that a lot of things are going on, right? When you said you learned a lot, was it more a case of learning photography skills, maybe with cool effects, or was it a thing where you were just learning about the culture? Because I know as a photographer and as a creative, you consistently have to keep on getting better at your skill set, right? What did you actually learn when you went to that post? Was it more a case of the people, or was it actually practical knowledge?
I'd say both because looking at it as a photographer, it was more like documentary rather than portrait, which was something I'd never really done before. So it was new. And obviously, I had to keep in mind, you know, people's consent to being in things. And it was a very intense situation. So it was just knowing when to pick the right moment because people are going to be very emotional and they're not going to want that captured. So it was figuring that out as well as learning about the culture, definitely, because as a white person, I will never ever fully be able to understand what it's like for anyone other than just my own race. Like, I will never be able to understand that
Mm.
to its full extent. But what I can learn, I want to and I need to. So just being in that kind of environment, looking in the eyes of people who were having a very, very real experience and fighting for their own rights, it was changing and I really can't describe it. I really can't.
Wow. That's crazy. I think that that time span last year was a crazy time. A lot of stuff was going on. Obviously, COVID was running rampant. Damn, and then obviously the BLM process started happening, and it was just a crazy time. I can remember literally everyone was posting about it. There was just so much going on. There was so much going on. And actually, I want to ask you that, right? How did you feel creatively wise? Were you still quite motivated, or was it a case where you're now indoors because you're obviously lockdown because of the new restrictions, and you're also seeing all this stuff going on? Did you still feel motivated to work? Because I know a lot of people, that's getting to their head. That's really going to affect them. That's really going to make them feel demotivated, upset, not only the fact that they're obviously seeing all of this cruelty going on in the world, but also they're indoors, they can't go anywhere. How did you feel at that sort of time? Can you remember?
I think at that point in the year, you know, travel was becoming more easier and you could go out for like a little bit
Yeah.
safely,
Mm.
mind you. So with the peak of that and the more freedom we had, that was motivating. But it was also a case of, you know, people are going to need a distraction. They can't be on 100% of the time. So I guess it was just trying to be that distraction for some people. I know that sounds a bit, you know, big headed. And as a small creator, my influence is going to be absolutely tiny if it's there at all. But any change is worth it, I guess. I don't, that sounds so, yeah.
I know what you mean, though. I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean. I think this is the thing, right? This is the thing. This is the thing, because we do need distractions. Like, we do need, being creatives, our minds are going all the time, and we're trying to figure out what other projects we could do. And we're on social media. And like I said at the beginning, we're young people, right? We need some sort of distraction. We need some sort of distraction. So I don't think you're in the wrong saying that. I think you're just saying what everyone sort of related to at the time. Like, I know I was on social media. Like, it's crazy. Like, I went to a protest. I didn't even post a picture because I was like, this is getting all a bit crazy. So I can see why people came off. A lot of people probably came off social media,
Yeah.
and a lot of people probably had to find like a new hobby or something to do because obviously it was mad, and it's not good. Like it's not good stuff we're seeing. It's some we're seeing footage of really of a guy being killed, by the police. It's not good stuff. So I understand what you mean by distractions. But going back to improving, right? You recently started to do an IGTV series, right? Where you teach people. You teach people how to edit, and I watch some of them. I just like I like watching content. I'm not a photographer, but it's good stuff, right? What got you into do that? Like, was there an inspiration? Did you watch someone and you're like, nah, I want to do this myself? Or was it a case where you were getting questions from other photographers?
Yeah. I have other friends who are photographers, and some of them are like just starting out, and they were asking me like, "How do I do this? How do I get that to work?" And it was just a case of that, and realizing there was so much I wish I knew in the beginning, and everyone needs that little bit of help. Everyone needs that push, that guidance, and I got it into 3 1-minute videos, just the basics that people can then develop themselves.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think that's something really helpful that you've done because I don't think people realize how you should really just be trying to improve all the time. Anything that you do, even if you're not creative, you should really be trying to push all the time. But it's hard. It's hard nowadays because everyone's sort of doing it. You don't know who's telling the right thing. You don't know who's telling the wrong thing. You don't know why they're doing it. So that series I think was really helpful. And is that something you're going to be continuing to do? Because I know one of your most recent posts is you're obviously taking a break, but you're going to be back harder. Is that something that we're going to be expecting, in later in the year, or is it going to be? Was it just like a short mini series?
In terms of IGTV, it was really just that series. Obviously, if something else comes up that I want to help with, there will be more in the future. I'm not completely writing it off. Um, I do want to do more experimenting with reels and that, because those are really like popping off at the moment for different creatives. And
Definitely.
it's a really good way to get outreach.
100%.
And yeah, so I want to prioritize that. But my biggest priority is just working and on my feed, really.
Amazing. Amazing. That's great. And yeah, keep on going. And that's one thing I wanted to ask you, right? Because I know you said you have a lot of friends who are maybe starting out with photography, right? Um, how was your first shoot? How was your first shoot when you met up? Maybe this was before the rebrand. How was that? Were you nervous? Were you pretty confident in your skill set? How are you feeling?
At the time, it was before I was even fully considering photography as a career. It was just a coursework thing, and it was with like my close friends. So I didn't put too much thought into it, if I'm being honest. I was just walking around Shoreditch with the camera and my mates and just a quick couple pictures here and there and just having a fun day. It wasn't until it really came to working with strangers that the nerves were there,
Yeah,
because
professional. You have to be professional.
yeah, I'm quite a shy person. So speaking to people I'm not fully comfortable with is something I'm still working on to this day. And then obviously as a woman, meeting up strangers,
Yeah,
it can get a bit scary.
yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah. Um but no, that first shoot was calm. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's cool. And obviously, there's a lot of struggles with first putting yourself out there, and that's one thing I wanted to know. What has been sort of your hardest part being a creative and a photographer up till now? What is something that you really struggled with, and what was the moment where you're like, damn, this is really tough? Because people need to know, because I feel like a lot of the time people again don't talk about it. We always talk about, oh, this person's so successful. People don't talk about flopping and they don't talk about the days being hard. What was the hardest sort of time for you being a creative?
I wouldn't say it was just one specific time.
Okay.
It was, it comes back to the whole rebranding scenario. It was just staying consistent and staying happy with what I was doing, because there's a lot of pressure out there to, not give up. And if you give up, you're a failure.
Yeah.
And we don't see it happening to anyone else. We see people, growing massively and thinking, oh, it just happened. It
Yep.
was a straight line. It was easy.
Yep.
When really you can give up in a sense.
Yeah.
What matters is about doing something else or picking yourself back up.
Mm. Mm.
Even if you stay down in one area, if you're up in another, then go for it. It's not a straight line. It's a squiggle, and the squiggles go down.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think, yeah, dropping knowledge. I think literally, right, I was talking to one of my friends literally like just before this call, talking about how hard it is. And he was like, look, man, when you start at zero, like, no matter how long you're going to be at zero, if you keep on going and if you keep on being consistent, you will get there. And it's always being like a freelancer, you probably know, right? There's always a sense of underestimation. You always sort of feel like you have a sense of imposter syndrome, like, if something really does grow great, you're like, damn, did I deserve it? And you probably always feel like, people, may underestimate me because I'm not big. I haven't got a big following. But I think what you said is important, how like success is not a straight line. Like it really is a squiggly line. Like I don't think we realize and it goes back again to like, social media. Like we see people starting from zero and getting to 100 real quick. It doesn't work like that. Like it really doesn't work like that. You have ups and downs. You fail, you get back up, you fail again, you get back up, you fail again, maybe even worse, you get back up. And if you just keep on going, right, if you just keep on picking yourself up, as you said, right, eventually you're going to get to where you need to be. One thing I actually wanted to ask you, talking about this then, is how do you stay happy? How do you actually stay happy with what you're doing? Because I know with me, right, running a business, running a clothing brand, right, it's really hard to stay happy when things aren't going your way, right, and it's really difficult to stay consistent. That's one thing I relate with what you said as well, right? Staying consistent is really difficult. I don't think people realize, we all have our own lives to live. We've got other things going on. So, being consistent is, for me, the hardest thing for me personally, right? How do you stay balanced and how do you stay happy with what you're doing?
I guess, okay, the biggest thing that I learned is recognizing when you're becoming too obsessed. Like for my case, if I'm spending more than 10 minutes just looking at my own profile and over analyzing what my feed looks like, the type of things I'm posting, I'm not thinking rationally. I'm going to be unhappy with everything because I'm in a bad mindset. Learn to just stop, walk away, and come back when you're in a far better mood, because the more you overanalyze and the more unhappy you get, it's not going to be based on real concerns. You're going to be nitpicking the tiniest things that you can because you think it's there. So it's learning to step away and then coming back. But it's also, especially in terms of social media, an algorithm is just an algorithm. It's just coding. It's going to affect everyone differently for different periods of time. I don't know about you, but for me, a change in algorithm where I'm being like, not shadow banned, but like you're getting less engagement, that can really knock your motivation and self-esteem, if I'm being honest, because you get into your own head about it. You're thinking, oh, no one likes what I'm doing. But in reality, they might not just see it. And, give it a couple of weeks. If you keep that consistency going, you're going to get picked up by the algorithm. And it's someone else is probably going to get ignored, It's just coding. it's not a reflection of your own work. It's not real. Your work is real. Just focus on your work.
Facts. I'm just nodding my head because I agree with exactly what you're saying, because I've struggled with it as well. And I think people need to realize that, right? Like, social media at the end of the day, it can get you many places, but at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of code. Literally, it's just a bunch of code, you know. And I think what you said about the algorithm is really important, because people don't realize, people literally, you know, will do the most if a certain post isn't getting so many likes. And I I relate so much to what you said about looking at your feed, the feed, over analyzing what you could have proved and stuff. I think it's crazy nowadays, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about, right? Um, have you ever? I know we talked about comparisons and always comparing yourself to people. When looking at your feed, do you do it to other people as well? Like other photographers, like, oh damn, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have done this, could have copied this idea. Or is it only you? Are you always criticizing your own work, or not criticizing your own work, but over analyzing? Or is it a case where you are trying to look at other people's feeds to sort of get inspiration, to sort of see what you could have done better?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. A lot of people
Yeah,
like to act like their idea is original and they came up with it
yeah,
themselves. You know, I don't mind saying that my friends are some of my biggest inspirations. Obviously, I'm going to look at what they do. They're all incredible. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm talking about my photographer friends or my musician friends. They're all amazing, and we can all learn from each other. So I definitely look at my friends' profile and other people's profiles. Definitely.
yeah. Same. Yeah, no, I think it's important, because you can always look at, you know, what you can improve, you know. And it seems like you're quite good at, it seems like you're quite self-aware, because a lot of people think they're the shit. They think I'm the best. I there's nothing I can improve on, right? Um, do you feel like there's anything you could still get better at? And if so, what are things you're currently trying to work on to improve your work and take it to the next level?
I get the first thing that comes into my head is definitely creative direction. Like I said, I'm quite a shy person. So I guess it's just being comfortable with bossing people around.
Yeah, yeah,
That's something I hate doing because I feel like I'm like inconveniencing them, even
yeah.
though that they've paid me to
Mm,
boss them around. It
yeah,
doesn't feel right. So it's just getting over that hurdle.
yeah. That's crazy. I think you even said on one of your IGTVs, like, that was one tip. Like, that was one tip. You were like, I can't remember what you said, but you're like, don't be afraid to tell people what to do or something. Like,
Yeah.
different positions. That's hard. Yeah, I can understand that, because I'm sort of a quite chilled guy, and you sort of have to. It's hard, right? Because you sort of have to be. Um, you're sort of a bit. You are business. You are a business, and there's a professionalism you need to meet, and people are going to expect certain things from you, even if it's just a case of, Lauren, tell me where to pose. Is this okay? Should I do this? Blah blah blah. And obviously, being a chill person is cool, but if you think, damn, I want to get the best out of this shoot, you're probably gonna have to say to them, no, get in this position. Can you stay here, please? Blah blah blah. You know, whatever you need to do, right? And that's crazy. So, talking about then, looking back on hindsight, looking back on the past, is there anything you would have done differently with shoots, um, social media, anything? Is there anything that you think about now and you're like, oh, I could have done that better?
Yeah. For one, I wouldn't have rebranded so many times. That massive waste of time. Honestly, it was a big setback, and getting over the anxiety of going out and meeting people that I don't know.
Mm,
I turned down so many opportunities because no one I knew was going to be there.
yeah,
And that is probably still something I'm going to do a lot. I'm going to make those mistakes in the future. And I'm okay with that. It's it's a progress type thing. You know, if I could reduce that and get over that, I'm cool. Just I wish I had actually started doing that earlier instead of just immediately shutting things down.
mm, mm, yeah. that's really interesting. I get the same as well, and I think a lot of creatives do. I think anyone watching this that's a creative, they probably do. You know, it's scary at the end of the day, right? It's scary putting yourself out there, especially when you're maybe an introvert and you're used to working on your own, used to working indoors, and you don't really have to interact with people. So when you're working with someone who's obviously paid, and it's not a friend relationship, like it's probably different. It's probably different for you, right? If you're doing a shoot with just Nick rather than someone you've never met before, right? It's a lot different. It's a lot different,
Yeah, very different.
you know. So when you're now a business, when it's not like you're not friends, where you can't really make too much small talk because you don't know the person, they've literally just paid you. It must be hard. It must be really really difficult to put yourself out there like that. So is there any goals that you've got for the end of the year or for in the future, just in general?
In terms of meeting up with people, not any set goals. My main one, and probably only one, is just consistency. And
Nice.
just, keep on experimenting, keep on posting, keep on going out and doing shoots, just keep it up. Because right now there's not a lot that we can do. So just do what I can.
Amazing, amazing. That's yeah, that's amazing. I think a lot of people are probably wanting to do the same as you, being indoors, getting back to the workflow, getting back to being in the trenches. And how do you want your work to be remembered in the future? Because obviously, I personally think you've got a style that is very very unique. It's noticeable. People realize it, right? Is there any way you want to be remembered in the future when you've done really well in photography or your work?
I guess I don't really care if people remember me or not.
Yeah, play.
I just want people, I want to make people happy now. So if in like a couple decades or a couple 100 years when I'm dead, no one can look back what I've done, I don't mind. Everyone's gonna be forgotten anyway.
Yeah,
So
true.
it sounds dark and pessimistic, but in my head it's just being realistic, no one's gonna be remembered. So just live now, just make people happy now, just do what you want.
That's amazing.
But don't kill people,
Yeah,
even
bad. That's bad. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. That's amazing. And is there any advice you want to give to any photographers watching this or any creators in general? Because we do have a lot of upcoming creatives that are tuned in. Is there any advice you want to sort of give to them?
if there's something that you want to try it if you can. And if you can't, get as close to it as you can. Improvise. There is always a way. And if you're sad and you have no motivation and you're just not feeling it, that is okay. You don't have to be on it every day. Like we discussed earlier, this whole culture of having multiple side hustles as well as maybe a job and school, it's so unhealthy and it's so unrealistic. And just don't bow down to that. Just go at your own pace and don't get in your head.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, appreciate you coming on. I think you dropped a lot of knowledge here. I wanted to get you on for a long time. There's always people I want to get on for a while. I look at people's work. I'm like, eventually I'll get them on. So, and I also know a lot of photographers. So I think this podcast will be very, very useful. Um, where can people find you? Where can people find you? Your social
You
media?
can find me on Instagram, which is at Whoslozza, all one word. You can find me on Twitter. That's the same handle. Those are my two main platforms. The rest are just like personal accounts. And on my photography instas and accounts, there are links to my personals if you're interested. So yeah. But if it's okay with you, can I just shout out some people?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so they're gonna hate me for this. We've mentioned them before, but the people I do just want to shout out quickly is Just Nick and Nashi. Okay,
Nice.
they're two of the people I've probably known the longest and my most frequent collaborators. And I wouldn't be doing photography right now if it wasn't for them working with me and keeping me motivated and keeping me up. So please, if I don't care if you don't have the time, do this anyway. Check out their music, check out their socials. Just Nick is at justnick_3 or 3_. You'll find him. And then at I am Kanashi. They are beautiful people. You're gonna love what they do. And I would not be here without them. So find positivity in them because they're beautiful.
Yes, they are. And actually, I'm going to put all of their ads as well as yours in the description, guys. Also, as well as just Nick, right? He is just dropped a new song called Growth, I believe. Make sure you check that out because I know this
Absolute banger.
yeah,
Certified.
yeah, go check him out because literally just Nick, right? I say, right, there's creatives. I'm telling you guys, there's creatives who are going to be on this podcast who 5 years or less are going to be big. They are going to be big. And Just Nick is one of them, really consistent, makes a lot of good music. So I'm going to put his new, is it a single? It's a Growth is a single, right?
Yeah, it's a single, Growth.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put that in the description below, and he's in our latest design. This device is Deaf Hoodie. So, guys, check it out on our website. Yeah, Just Nick, man, keep on doing what you're doing. But appreciate you coming on. Guys, if you enjoy this podcast,
It was an honor.
make sure you check us out on our social media platforms. We are on Instagram at Seventh Tier. We are on Facebook on Seventh Tier. We are on Twitter on Seventh Tier, and we are on TikTok on Seventh Tier. So they're going to be all in the link in the description below. Guys, I know you're all busy. If you want to listen to this, you don't have time watching this. You want to be at work and listen to, us having conversations with creatives. We are on Spotify, the Tier Talks. Make sure you check us out on there. On our website, www.7thtier.co.uk. You can listen on there. Google Podcast, the Tier Talks, Overcast, the Tier Talks, Pocket Cast, the Tier Talks, Radio Public, the Tier Talks, and Anchor, the Tier Talks. So, guys, if you want to listen to the podcast, you haven't got time to watch it, go check us out all in there. They're going to be the link in the description below. And our clothing, we're a clothing man for creators, guys. So our website, as I said, www.7thtier.co.uk/shop. Go check us out. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, all aimed for creatives. All of our designs are aimed towards being relatable to creatives and the struggles that creatives go through. If you want to watch the podcast, go check us out on our YouTube channel, Seventh Tier. We do podcasts like this every single Friday at 7 p.m. Our goal is to get to 100 subscribers at the end of the year. So if you guys enjoyed this, subscribe, like, share it to your friends. I think Lauren, aka Whoslozza, this podcast is going to benefit a lot of photographers. So if you guys know any upcoming photographers, share it to them. This is important. And our second channel is more Seventh Tier. All the snippets to the podcasts that we drop every Friday at 7 p.m. is going to be on there. Just a new channel, so make sure you guys check that out there. Yeah, last thing I want to say to all creators listening to this, whether you're a graphic designer, photographer, artist, videographer, keep up the good work. Do not give up. It's hard. You're making no money. Even if you're not in it for the money, it's difficult. You have ups and downs, but do not give up. Keep on working, keep on being in the trenches, and keep on doing what you're doing. But yeah, this has been a Tier Talks, and we'll see you in the next one. Out.